let's get started. 10 articles that I've read talk about education. I divided it into two topics in frame of education that cover 10 articles that I've read. The first one is the elements of education. They are parents, teachers, and students. And the second one is more specific. It's about English education, included two activities, English language learning and English language teaching. So let's get started from the first topic, the elements of education. Parents. So parents has a significant role to build up self-concept of students. Self-concept seems like how can we define ourselves, our personality, in social, moral, physical, and psychological aspects. And it influenced the performance in education. So how does it work? The fourth article that I've read talks about this one, an exploration on the relationship between self-concept and parenting style. The aim is to explore the relationship between teenagers' self-concept and parenting style, and also providing suggestions for improving teenagers' self-concept. The findings. Teenagers who are brought up in single-parent family care more about their personal and social-oriented psychological demands, which may be related to their growing environment in which maternal or paternal love is insufficient. Therefore, they care more about their own psychological concept, compared with non-only child cares more about their social-oriented self-concept. How about the second important element of education? It is teachers, related to the verbal communication of teachers. The first article that I've read talks about this one, quantitative study of verbal of the teacher towards girls and boys. The aims of the research is to characterize the activity of aid of sports and physical education teachers in order to identify the differential treatment of boys and girls in educational interactions between teachers or students. The findings of this research. The first one, indeed, there is a significant difference between women and men teachers in their treatment of girls and boys. The second one, teachers develop more verbal interactions with boys than girls. Teachers are using more incentive verbal communication towards girls than boys. And the types of disciplinary communications are much more frequently for boys. However, girls receive more incentives communications and communications on educational content. So, how about the third element of education? As students, we have to be able to manage our time, isn't it? But nowadays, we have a big challenge. It's about the product of technology, social media. How does social media can affect our academic? So the third article that I've read talks about this one, the effect of social media on college students. The purpose of this research is to investigate the relationship between the effects of social networking and students' study efficiency, and to determine if social media interfering with students' academic lives. So, how about the findings? Most college students would prefer to use social media and therefore spend vast hours checking social media sites. 90% of students spend their time on entertainment. There were not too many college students who preferred using social media to deal with their homework. 80% of the sample admitted that they paused it or responded while completing homework. It has definitely affected their efficiencies and their grades. This research also indicates that an approach is needed to better balance the relationship between social media and academic studies. Therefore, college students should think more about the balancing equation of social media and academics. So that's all the elements of education. Let's talk about English education. The first activity, English language learning. So we'll talk about the important aspect of English language learning, motivation. The fifth article that I've read talks about this one, a case study of non-English major students in English language learning. The main purpose of this study is to find whether and how motivation factors, especially integrative factors like wanted traveling around the world and something like that, are connected with non-English major college students, ELL, English language learning. So how about the findings? For the students, the lower their grades are, the stronger their instrumental orientation, like just want to pass the exam, have a certificate, and satisfying a job. But it has less to do with students holding integrative orientation. Integrative orientation is like traveling around the world, using English and various environment in diversity or something like that. The second one, there are still approximately 30% of the students lack of the real awareness of English learning who need to be guided. The teacher have to be guided. The teacher have to guide it. Even though more than half of the students show integrative orientation in ELL, it doesn't mean they make full use of it in ELL. They make full use of it in ELL, as is discussed in previous studies. So it doesn't mean they make full use of it. And the second aspect in English language learning that we will discuss is about students' difficulties in learning English. The sixth article talks about this one, identifying the factors contributing the students' difficulties in the English language learning. The study took place in Malaysia. For information, the aim of this study is to investigate the factors affecting the students' performance in English. So how about the findings? There are three major things identified from the study. The first one, the lack of English vocabulary, of course, led to the difficulties of mastering language skills. The second one, the influence of the first language, Melayu, which has been the culture there was the daily language of them. And the third one, the socioeconomic status of the family made the students lack of literature. They cannot buy books and were not really supported by their family. That's the problem. And let's move to the next discussion about teaching, English language teaching. The first aspect that we have to be mastered is vocabulary size. So, eighth article that I've read talks about the application media teaching and college English vocabulary teaching. Let's have a look. This paper discusses the current application situation and problems of multimedia teaching and college English vocabulary teaching and the countermeasures about it. How about the findings? The majority of students just memorize the words without knowing morphological aspects of the words, so it makes them difficult to know or to improve their vocabulary size. Problems of applying multimedia teaching and college English vocabulary teaching are the first, insufficient multimedia equipment, investment, and inappropriate course setting, teachers' knowledge about using multimedia, students' learning method needs to be improved, and also school aspect. School shall actively cooperate with the teachers for teaching method reform. The next English language teaching that we'll discuss is grammar teaching. The second article that I've read talk about animated video proved to be beneficial in teaching grammar as EFL. The study promotes the idea that learning and teaching is an enjoyable environment in an enjoyable environment are much more conducive than learning in an unpleasant environment. So the findings are: the study found that EFL students were able to use different types of grammatical issues. Students capturing, understanding, and memorizing the new words and pronouns effectively through the use of the videos. And it's proved that animations give pleasant atmosphere and effectively applied in teaching grammar. And the next discussion is about listening teaching. The seventh article that I've read is talk about this one: research on negotiated teaching model in English listening teaching. The study aims to change the traditional English teaching to negotiated teaching model to English listening teaching. The findings are: so negotiated teaching more effective than traditional teaching because they give initiative to students to selecting listening materials, and helpful to fully embody the main body status of students in teaching activities, arouse student interest, widen students' scope of knowledge, and the results show that negotiated teaching was effective in teaching listening. How about writing? The most difficult language skill. The ninth article that I've read talk about this one: study on the selection of words in college English writing. It intends to investigate the problems in selecting words and informing the teaching method to solve the problems. How about the findings? The findings indicate that students have major difficulties in spelling, meaning, conveying, concise expressing, style of words, and so on and so forth, so that the study puts forward some effective methods in lexical, grammatical, and stylistic aspects to improve the selection of words. That's all. And the last one: English language teaching. It's about using e-learning, current issue, to develop language skills. The third article talks about this one: using e-learning to develop EFL students' language skills and activate their independent learning. This paper showed how to use the e-learning model to improve students' language skills and independent learning, and activated their independent learning. The findings are: the learning model has two main components: activities and resources. The activities like assignment and so on and so forth. The resource like e-book, file URL page, and so on and so forth. And e-learning is an essential tool. Proof that e-learning is an essential tool that should be used to supplement the EFL face-to-face class. So that's all article summary that I can present to you. For the last, I give a quote: education as the passport to the future for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today, by Malcolm X Chavez. So keep spirit to continue our study. Thank you for your nice attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.